Yo, hey everyone. Welcome back to the Safe Space Podcast. I'm your host, Malakai. And today's episode is not a light episode. It's not surface level either. And it's not just about kids. It's about us. Today, we're talking about the adults in the room and when our triggers meet their traumas. Because sometimes the hardest part of working with children isn't their behavior. It's what their behavior brings up in us. Let's get into it. Section 1. The moment you feel it. If you work with kids long enough, you felt it. That moment when a child does something and your reaction is stronger than the situation. Maybe it's disrespect. Maybe it's defiance, maybe it's lying, maybe it's just being ignored by that child. And suddenly your chest tightens, your tone starts to shift, your patience drops faster than usual. That's not just frustration, that's a trigger for you. And triggers aren't weaknesses, they're simply just signals. Signals that something in you was touched. Section 2. Trauma doesn't always look like tears. Here's something important. Children's trauma doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like anger, control, withdrawal, overachievement, hyperindependence, silence, clowning, and constant testing. What looks like bad behavior, quote unquote, may actually be protection, and I've talked about this before. Protection that they build long before they even met you. And when that protection clashes with our unresolved experiences as adults, that's when things start to escalate. Not because that child is evil, not because that adult is a terrible teacher, mentor, or whatever they are, but because pain is meeting pain. Section 3. When our past shows up uninvited. Now, let's go deeper into this. Some of us were raised in environments where disrespect wasn't tolerated at all, where emotions weren't validated, where mistakes had harsh consequences, where silence was survival, where being loud meant danger, or where being unseen was normal. So when a child rolls their eyes, or they talk back, or they ignore instruction, it doesn't just feel like a behavior issue. It feels very personal to you. And if we don't pause, we react from memory instead of maturity. That's the difference between authority and awareness, if you guys get where I'm going with that. Section 4. You cannot lead where you haven't healed. Now I think this one might be my favorite section of tonight. And this might be a little uncomfortable, but it's very necessary to hear. You cannot consistently offer emotional safety if you are unaware of your own wounds. I will say that again. You absolutely cannot consistently offer emotional safety if you're unaware of your own wounds, guys. Unhealed adults don't just get irritated. They overcorrect. They personalize. They shame. They escalate. Not because they're cruel, but because something in them is still sensitive. Healing doesn't mean you never feel triggered. It means you recognize it before it can control you. Section 5. The pause. Now, here's the practice. When you feel that surge, when you start to feel that heat in you, that sudden drop in your patience, pause. Ask yourself, is this about this moment, or does this feel familiar? Am I responding to this child or to a version of myself from years ago? That pause is power. That pause is maturity. That pause protects both of you. Section 6. Children are not your opponents. Now, when trauma meets trauma, it can feel like a battle. But kids are not your opponents, and we have to remember that. We have to remember that they are developing humans navigating experiences that they often don't understand. And here's the truth. A triggered adult can re-traumatize a child without realizing it. Yeah. Like your tone, that matters. Yep. Your volume, that matters. Your public correction matters. Consistency matters. Because for some children, raised voices don't just mean I'm in trouble. They mean I'm unsafe. Section 7, regulation before correction. This is one of my favorite sayings. I say it very, very, very often, especially to adults who I notice struggle with this. You cannot correct effectively if you are dysregulated. You cannot. You absolutely cannot. So instead of reacting immediately, why don't you try to regulate first and then respond? Why don't you lower your voice, slow your breathing, ground yourself physically? Correction delivered calmly lands differently. It teaches accountability without fear. And when children see adults regulate themselves, they'll learn how to regulate too. Again, that thing going to them being sponges. What they see is what they do, That's leadership. Section 8, breaking cycles instead of repeating them. Now, the reality is that some of us were corrected harshly, so harshness feels pretty normal. Some of us were ignored, so withdrawal feels normal. But just because something is familiar does not mean it's healthy. You have the opportunity to interrupt cycles, to respond differently than what you experienced, to model stability instead of reactivity. That is generational work, guys, and it starts inside of you. You have to want change. You have to want things to be different. Section 9, owning your humanity. Let me say this as clearly as possible. You will not get it right every time. You will have moments where you respond too quickly. You will have days where your patience is thin. The goal is not perfection, but the goal is awareness. And when you miss it, just repair it. Apologizing to a child when you overreact does not weaken your authority as an adult. It strengthens that trust. It shows them that accountability applies to everyone, including adults. In Section 10, the real strength. Strength is not volume. Strength is not intimidation. Strength is not dominance. Real strength is self-control. Real strength is emotional awareness. Real strength is being the most regulated person in the room. Because when our triggers meet their trauma, someone has to be grounded. Let it be the adult. Before I close, I want to leave you here with this. The children in your space, they're learning from you. Not just how to behave, but how to handle emotion, how to respond to conflict, how to repair mistakes, how to feel safe in discomfort. You are modeling adulthood in real time. So do the inner work. Notice your triggers. Heal what you can. Pause when needed. And remember, you are not just managing behavior. You are shaping nervous systems. You are shaping safety. You are shaping what authority feels like. Be the adult in the room. Thank you all for listening to the Safe Space podcast. If this episode resonated with you, share it with another educator, mentor, or caregiver who is committed to growing and not just leading. I'll see you next time. Stay reflective, stay grounded, and keep building safe spaces. And guys, I'm not here to tell you to follow my steps exactly how I put them, because everybody teaches different. Everybody parents different. And everybody mentors differently. Everybody has their ways of doing something different. So even in trying these steps here, and that doesn't work, then I get it. But some of us, we resort to the beatings or the yelling or the this or the that. So I really hope that you guys lock in and heal your inner self. Work on regulating your emotions so that you can effectively lead that child to their purpose. Remember, every child is a seed. It just takes someone willing to water them. Peace.